The news you can count on. Mayport to Ponte Vedra Beach. The Island Times News Update begins right now. Here's Tom Patton.
Welcome to the Island Times News Update. I'm Tom Patton. The Jacksonville Beach City Council has given initial approval to the establishment of a firearms manufacturing and retail business on 9th Street, but modified the proposal to make the business a conditional use rather than a permitted use as was recommended by the City Planning Commission. There had initially been strong opposition to the proposal from members of the public who were concerned that the proposed business, which is to be co-located with Coastal Heating and Cooling on 9th Street between 10th and 11th Avenue South, was too close to Seabreeze Elementary School. However, federal law regulates how near such a business can be from a school, and it is within the allowed parameters. The council discussed at length the legalities of a business that manufactures firearms and discharging firearms within the city limits. But it was pointed out by City Manager George Forbes that the state government has precluded municipalities from setting their own regulations about discharging firearms within their corporate limits. The business owner, David Dick, said he has been doing gun manufacturing and repair at his home in Jacksonville and already has the required licenses for such work. He said he has no intention of being a superstore for guns and only plans to have the business open 3 days a week at the most. He said he has no problem with the business being a conditional use in the industrial zoning area. A conditional use means that any other person who wishes to establish a similar business would also have to go before the City Council for approval. The change was approved on first reading, and it will be back before the Council at their next regular meeting, August 7th. The Jacksonville Beach City Council on Monday night did not pass changes to the city's land use code to allow restaurants and bars to establish outdoor seating areas of up to 200 square feet without first obtaining a conditional use permit from the city. The city staff had recommended the change that would have made it easier for restaurants and bars to set up small outdoor seating areas without having to obtain additional permits or increase the parking for the business. The staff said the change would make it easier to implement some objectives contained in the city's vision plan. Councilwoman Janelle Wilson offered a substitute motion that would have required businesses to obtain a conditional use permit even for small outdoor seating areas. Councilwoman Christine Hoffman was opposed to Wilson's substitute and supported the changes to a permitted use, saying that the number of businesses that could even qualify for such an outdoor seating area are very few. She said passing the change would make the city more business-friendly and encourage the establishment of new businesses. City Manager George Forbes said the substitute motion essentially kept the zoning as it is now, which requires a conditional use permit for any outdoor seating area, and Wilson withdrew the motion. The council then voted on the original proposal to make the small seating areas a permitted use. The vote was 3-3, with council members Hoffman, Phil Vogelsang, and Lee Buck voting yes, and council members Wilson and Bruce Thomason voting no, along with Mayor Charlie Latham. Councilman Keith Doherty abstained from the vote as he owns a bar in the Central Business District. The proposal failed on the tie vote, and the conditional use permit will remain in place. In Atlantic Beach on Monday, they'll consider a resolution to establish a parking advisory committee to address parking issues in the city. The purpose of the 11-member panel is to review and collect parking data, conduct related field inspections, evaluate the data, and make recommendations to the mayor and commission as to changes and revisions to the current parking system, which will eliminate confusion and safety issues. The committee will be dissolved after 6 months. And Atlantic Beach will also determine whether it will extend its temporary moratorium on the permitting of new service stations in the city. The commission voted in September of last year to put a 1-year moratorium in place, and that period ends August 22nd. If approved, the moratorium will be extended to February 22nd, 2018. Well, when we come back, the Neptune Beach Council discusses various aspects of its Jarboe Park Master Plan. This is the Island Times News Update.
The news you can count on. The Island Times News Update will be right back.
Beaches Academy Child Care Center in Jacksonville Beach has been offering affordable, loving child care to families in the Beaches communities for 35 years. Conveniently located on Penman Road, Beaches Academy offers care for children from infants through preschool, with programs that encourage learning and outdoor play. Our affordable tuition means families can get quality child care at a price that fits their budget. Contact Beaches Academy at 246-3885 and schedule a tour of our center. Beaches Academy, the child always comes first.
Welcome back to the Island Times News Update. I'm Tom Patton. The Neptune Beach City Council continued work on its master plan for Jarboe Park with a lengthy discussion of some of the features that may be included in the final document. The plan is likely to be implemented in several phases, with at least some of the funding coming from grants the city will pursue at a future date. The basic plan has been designed by the landscape architecture firm Pittman & Associates, but many elements will likely be changed or even dropped in the final plan. Councilor Richard Arthur led the discussion, saying that the purpose of the workshop was to get some kind of consensus on some of the major elements of the plan and discuss what might be included in the first stage of the project.
That would at least give Amanda and staff the ability to take a look at this and say, okay, how many phases is this? Is it 1? Is it 12? Everything's kind of tied together, and from that point we can start actually move forward and take a look at phases, funding, costs, and make this, get it closer towards an actual concrete map.
Among the major design elements discussed were the overall parking plan for the park, with some questioning whether parking should be accommodated on Florida Boulevard as is called for in the plan. The number and location of restrooms is still a big concern for Vice Mayor Scott Wiley and Police Chief Ricky Pike. Pike also suggested that when the project is finished, the council should consider closing the park at night so that it is not a place where illicit activity could take place. The park is the location of a small building that had been the first city hall for Neptune Beach, and Mayor Elaine Brown said she hopes that the structure can become a central feature for the park.
I'd like to partner, if we could, with the Historic Museum. I'd like for it to be open on a routine basis for the public, and maybe even push a button and you get to hear, the history, have storytellers in there from time to time. So I love that building. I want to take it from that white building that's there to our first city hall and recognize it as such. And I think there's even a monument stone in there to Marshall, was he a Marshall? Jarboe. And, that should probably be with it. This is history that's right there that I think is it's important to Neptune Beach.
While some on the council are supportive of the 11-foot tall berm that's proposed on the south shore of the pond, City Attorney Patrick Kruchowski said that such a feature that drops off into the pond could present a liability issue for the city. None of the members was particularly interested in the hedge maze that was planned, suggesting other uses for that space. The splash pad on the island is another feature that the council does not seem to support, even though it was something that many people at last summer's charrette said was desirable. The council will get input from the public on the park at a community meeting on July 26th. The meeting will start at 6 p.m. in the community room of the Beaches branch of the library. Well, last October, Hurricane Matthew damaged the dunes along the Duval County coastline, and since then many dunes have been restored, and the final phase of the work is set to begin. As part of the dune restoration project, 5,000 cubic yards of sand was placed between 15th Avenue South and 16th Avenue South in Jacksonville Beach. On July 24th, work will begin to redistribute the sand by truck to areas south of 16th Avenue South. The work is expected to take about a week. For safety reasons, because of large trucks traveling along the beaches, the beach and beach accesses in the area between 14th Avenue South and 27th Avenue South will be closed during the week on varying days and times as the project progresses. It will be very important for all people, especially children and pets, to stay clear of the work area. In just a moment, the weather for the weekend and the week ahead. This is the Island Times News Update.
The news you can count on. The Island Times News Update will be right back.
Charlie's Tropic Heating and Air Conditioning in Atlantic Beach offers a full range of residential and commercial heating and air conditioning services, from new installation to replacement and remodeling. Charlie's Tropic Heating and Air Conditioning can keep your home comfortable year-round, and they offer preventive maintenance contracts to keep your system running at peak efficiency. Charlie's Tropic Heating and Air Conditioning is an authorized Bryant dealer and will service all brands. For year-round comfort in your home or business, contact the original Charlie's Tropic Heating and Air Conditioning at 241-1788.
The news you can count on. Mayport to Ponte Vedra Beach, forecasting your beaches. This is your local look weather.
Well, the tropics are quiet right now, and the National Weather Service says we can expect a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms over the weekend, and a better chance of daily rain and thunder through the early part of next week. Highs will continue in the mid to upper 80s, with lows in the mid to upper 70s. The Island Times is always digital, always free at theislandtimes.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to be the first to know about stories posted on the Island Times. I'm Tom Patton. Thanks for watching.